up, Kansas City? I'm your host, Glenn Brian Frizzell. Today we are taping at the historic Lincoln Building located in the 18th and Vine area, new home of Cascade Media Group. Today we have two people from the Nelson Atkins Art Museum, Ms. Kreshaun McKinney, who is the educator of public programs at the museum, and Ms. Rosie Riordan, who is head of school and educational services. Let's welcome them here today. How are we doing, lady?
We're doing great, thank you.
Awesome. Kreshaun, you have been with Nelson Atkins Museum the longest. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Let's see, I've been there for 9 years. I actually started off as the full-time studio programs teacher through the Ford Learning Center. And then within the last 3 years, my position switched to becoming the educator for public programs. But I'm originally from Chicago, and I have a undergraduate degree from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, master's degree in fine arts from Tyler School of Art, and have always worked and loved art.
I read a little bit from your resume, and I see where you studied in Rome. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I studied for a year at Temple University, Rome, and that was an incredible experience. I met my mentor professor while studying there, and I actually then went to grad school at Tyler where he was. So we built a relationship that has lasted all of these years, and just a tremendous, tremendous experience being there.
Awesome. Let me turn to Rosie here. Ms. Riordan, I see where you attended Kansas State University and earned your BFA in painting. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and your career?
So I was born and raised in Kansas City, lived here my entire life, went to school.
What high school?
Shawnee Mission North. Graduated from Shawnee Mission North and went to K-State. Again, staying in the state. Loved the town, loved Manhattan, and the fact that they beat KU the other night is just a plus.
Just thrilling.
The thrilling, yeah, especially in overtime at Bramlage. But I am a fiber person, so they didn't have a fibers degree when I was at K-State, so I did painting. That was my next love, primarily watercolor, but I love fiber, so I spin and weave and do things, mixed media pieces. So.
I guess next question is for both of you. How much work goes into coordinating and planning activities for the museum? How much of your day is spent talking to people to coordinate those activities?
A lot. A lot. We have an incredible amount of programs a year, and we have programs that are for adults, programs that are for children, what Rosie does, but we have programs that are within the schools. So there are a number of people that we work with in order to pull all of these things together. So you're going to work on programs every day.
And for my aspect of it, I bring the school perspective because I taught for 25 years. I was an art teacher for 25 years in the Shawnee Mission school system, and it's my passion. And so I bring the educational perspective to the museum as far as what's going on in schools' day-to-day life, and really try to help teachers connect with how they can use art more than just, oh, it's art time, let's get out our crayons and draw a pretty picture, but there's a lot more that you can do with it, and so that's what I'm bringing to the plate.
Now, Rosie, you worked with Ms. Carol Ladd, who was an educator and a longtime friend of the museum. Can you talk a little bit about her?
Carol was an amazing person. She was our school, worked with our incentive program. That's our program that we pay buses for title schools within the greater Kansas City community, bring children into the museum for both tours and for studio programs, and she coordinated that. She would go out and talk to the schools. She promoted what we had to do with professional development, worked with me. We have an initiative going right now. It's our Common Core initiative where we're going out into schools. We're in Gladstone Elementary and Faxon Elementary currently, working on thinking through art program, visual learning strategy, and talking with kids so they have an activity where they're looking at a piece of art very closely and analyzing it, and then they have an activity that goes with it that promotes the writing. And Carol was very instrumental in helping us to get that message across to schools, and especially for administrators, because administrators don't have all of the information about what art can do, and so she really helped us. She was responsible for bringing the Kansas City, Missouri Principals Conference to the museum last summer, so we had an opportunity to expose all of the administrators in the Kansas City, Missouri public school system to everything that we had at the museum.
Awesome. Kreshaun, can you tell me a little bit, I was looking at your resume, what characteristics do you feel that you work from your resume on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I would say the most important thing would be communication and working with the community or working with your colleagues. You've got to definitely know how to coordinate. And I think with all that we do, we wanted to create an environment where people feel that they can be heard, but also that, we have a lot of things that we want to do, and we want people to feel that they are welcome. And I think just part of my personality is to engage people. And my resume, through the positions that I've held, part of that is being able to connect and engage.
And you connect specifically with adults through public programs. Can you tell us a little bit about some programs that may be coming up?
Definitely. Let's see. Coming up Sunday, we have Rodney Thompson's My Mother's Club, and I'm just so thrilled and delighted that we are going to be showcasing his talents with the film at the museum. And it's an incredible story. It's a documentary about the African American ladies social clubs here in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, the role that these women played in the civil rights movement here in Kansas City. And we're just honored that we're going to get an opportunity to present that to our audiences who may not be aware of it. And so going back to that word engaging the community, that is something that I love to do. And this is a way we can do that through that program. That is going to be Sunday at the museum. This is a free program. It does require a ticket, but it's a free ticket. And it will be at 2:30. You can go right to our website and find out more information about it, or give us a call.
Well, you hand out tickets at the door. Do they need to RSVP?
You can actually get a ticket at the visitor center's desk if you like, or you can call ahead of time or go online ahead of time and get tickets. Then next week will be another program that I'm very excited about that we have through public programs. And public programs, that's the division that I work with, is Take 5. And that is a new series. Well, I should say we piloted last year, and it went from having 25 people in attendance to roughly 100. So this year is our second season, and Take 5 is a program where we have 4 speakers speaking to a single topic, but they only get 5 minutes each.
I read about that on your website. Can you also give your website address?
Yes, our website address is www.nelson-atkins.org.
So you have 5 minutes to respond to a conversation topic?
That's right. You get 5 minutes to share your story based on what that topic is.
Wow. And
then we open it up for the audience to participate. And the topic for next week is hair.
Hair. I
That's
don't know
right.
if I can hang. Hopefully I have mine
Sure
in
you
5
can.
minutes.
Everyone's got a great story about hair.
Yes.
And then the rest of the season we'll have home. And then we will end with dirt.
Home and dirt. I could probably deal with dirt there.
So it's a really, really fun and exciting way to invite our community to participate in programming. And that's something that really excites me with what's happening with the museum and what's happening in the education department. And Rosie can speak to this also, is that we are really about engaging our community leaders, our community members, and bringing them into the museum where they have an opportunity to participate with programming.
Certainly.
Where they can either be on the panel. Our hair panel is consisting of museum members as well as community members. And then, so there's an opportunity for them to come, like for Rodney's program to actually come, and then there's an opportunity for them to participate in programming. And I think that's what makes it really exciting at the museum right now. It's about that community engagement.
Excellent, excellent. Ms. Rosie, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your title, being head of school and educational services. I know spring is a very busy time. I remember being in elementary school, middle school, our principal would dress us up and send us off to the museum for the day. And no matter how long we walked through that museum, it was just so much stuff. We barely had time to see it all. What will your schedule look like this spring in terms of connecting with the community and staying engaged, like Ms. Kreshaun said?
One of the things we've done, last year we piloted a program where we worked with students in 2 different schools. One was Shawano Elementary, one was University Academy, and they actually wrote labels for an exhibition. The Gelman exhibition had student labels as well as curatorial labels. So the children's voices were in the exhibition. And Kreshaun worked on an excellent exhibition that brought community members' voices. It's the History and Hope exhibition that we have on that talks about the civil rights and movement, and had community members who talked about their responses, what particular pieces meant to them. So the museum's working really hard to bring those voices in. But one of the things that we have done in connection with my being in schools is making tours more interactive. So the kids are no longer passive participants, they're active participants. So they're engaged in having conversations about the art and really looking closely. They have, like, one of the activities we have on the tour is called a whoa and a huh card. You're given a card that says whoa with an exclamation mark, and you're given a card that says huh with a question mark, and they get to vote. So they lay the card down on the floor on the piece that blows them away, like, I would love to take this home, or a piece that they're like, I don't get it, where does this come from? Why is this here in the museum? And it gives them a chance to talk about that. So then you have a conversation with them about why they made the choice that they made. Like, why does this piece blow you away? Or what about this piece do you have questions about? And then the docents have an opportunity to have conversations and really bring that history to life, connecting with where the kids are. So the tours have changed. We have 5 new tours, and they are totally interactive tours. There's Art is Elementary, which is kind of an elementary tour, kind of accessing the museum. Secondary Impressions, which is for the high school kids introduction. There's Beyond the Buffalo, which is our Native American collection. There's Art of Islam, which is an Islamic exhibit that we have right now. And then we have Tomb Treasures, which talks about Egypt and ancient China.
Awesome.
So, can I just pick up where Rosie left off in terms of what's happening with the collections? She touched base on some of the wonderful cultural collections that we have within the museum. And to add to that, the African reinstallation that's happening within the African Gallery right now is pretty incredible and very, very exciting. That gallery space is being sort of reinvented and giving visitors and our community an opportunity to see Africa in a really exciting and different way. And the gallery will showcase the rich culture, the heritage, the geography, the art of Africa. And what I really love about it is that it's the artworks are going to be under 2 categories to kind of give you a different perspective in terms of how you see these artworks. So there's going to be leadership and status arts as a category, and that might have kente cloth or thrones under that. And then there will be the spiritual arts. And that category might have the mask, such as for masquerade or body adornment. So a really different way for you to look at it. And continuing with the idea of community engagement, something that we've done is that we wanted to make that space an interactive space. And we wanted to hear what the community would like to see in terms of programming and activating that space. So the museum actually invited a number of members from the Kansas City metro area to participate and ask them ideas. What would you like to see in the African Gallery once it's ready? And one of our community partners in particular, Ms. Christine Peoples, who is the executive director for People's Etiquette out of Springfield, Missouri, came up with the fantastic idea of having a family hour within the African Gallery. And so that is indeed what we're going to do starting in the spring. We'll have...
starting April 5th.
That's right, April 5th, 1 to 4 p.m. You will be able to come and see an activity. There might be storytelling. We might have a performance. There might be a hands-on art activity. There'll be museum guides that can speak to you about the collection and about the incredible artworks that are there. So another opportunity to bring in the community here in Kansas City as well as afar, get them connected to the museum, but also to let them see that we're interested in their voices shaping programming too.
And
Sounds like a day well spent.
And I think another part of that exhibition is, involving, educators were involved. Carol Ladd was responsible for bringing educators in. And one of the things that we talked about was that how the art is used and getting kids to understand that it's not a dead art form. These people are alive and still using these materials. And so connecting, one of the things that NE has done is connected ancient parts with current artists. So you see a piece with the mask and you see a Nick Cave video with his sound suit. So it connects the contemporary. And so I think that's a great connection for kids, for families, for the community. And the great thing that I like about everything that's been going on with the museum is really asking the questions, but then following through with actions that the community really sees their voices being reflected in the museum, and it's becoming more their museum.
Awesome.
And I think that's what's so important with where the museum, where it was and where it's going in terms of its future. That is the future right there in terms of what we're doing, is letting people know their voices do matter. And as Rosie said, it's about the follow through. We can certainly ask for ideas, and we do, but what's made it so incredible and special for us and so unique to this museum now is that we are taking those answers and we are giving you an outcome, results.
Awesome. This is a treasure that we have in Kansas City community. We want to make sure that we say the website address again so that we know that it's
Nelson-Atkins.org.
And it is free all
That's
the
right.
time.
It is a free museum, and the programs, particularly our public programs, those are all free programs.
Free stuff. That's good.
Free
Now,
programs.
Kreshaun, Rosie, we had Martin English on from KC Young Artists a while back, an organization that seeks to help schools provide arts programs to their students. Let's talk a little bit about our children who are being educated in inner city schools. We know that children who are exposed to arts education are 4 times more likely to have been recognized for academic achievement, being elected to class office within their schools more than 3 times as often, 4 times more likely to participate in the math and science fair, 3 times more likely to win an award for school attendance, 4 times more likely to win an award for writing an essay or poem. Arts education helps children to develop 21st century skills, critical thinking, communication, as you said, and creativity, skills that are essential to success in life. Let's talk a little moment about the importance of providing art education to underserved and at-risk populations.
And that's one thing that I can talk about with schools, with the initiative that we started. Carol Ladd headed up with the incentive grant and the Thinking Through Art program that we have going on. It's currently going strong in 2 schools, Faxon Elementary and Gladstone Elementary. We kind of targeted schools that wanted to take it on. The administrator was supportive. You have to have administrative support. And then we had teachers who were very enthusiastic participants. So we did professional development with them, and then we have educators going into the classroom once a week to work with the students. And what you're finding is kids feel like they have a voice. They understand, and they are something that they can talk about, when they come and look at art. And a lot of people, I think, when they come to a museum, think I have to have a certain level of understanding before I can step into a museum. And kids don't feel that way. They know that they can discuss things. They know how to look at the artwork, and that's one of the things we're providing. And giving them opportunities with the program. We also bring the kids into the museum twice. They have 2 field trips into the museum where we do a special tour with them, where they're getting a chance to practice the skills that they've been using in the classroom, and they get a chance to see the artwork. And the great thing about it is, with a lot of the school kids, they're bringing their parents back on the weekend and talking to their parents about the art the same way that we talk to them. Yes. So we're empowering them to have that conversation, and I think that's really great. And Jay Green, we had Jay Green in. He's a professor at the University of Arkansas, and he did a field study with children of poverty at Crystal Bridges in Arkansas.
Sure.
And he compared kids who took field trips to the museum and kids who didn't, and especially for underserved population, it's really, really important. So that's the value of having that administrative conference come. We can share that information, and administrators start to see the arts in a different light, because the arts get cut first.
Yes.
When budgets get tight, they take away the arts, because they get cut. So, trying to show them that it's an integral part of the curriculum that really can help kids to achieve.
Well, Rosie, I do want to mention the museum opened. Nelson Atkins Art Museum opened December 11th, 1933. Today it ranks among the 10 largest in the United States, has more than 300,000 works of art. In our last 5 minutes here, can you each of you speak briefly about the challenges, the successes that you've faced in your role as a facilitator with the museum? Starting with you, Kreshaun.
Okay, so you're going to put me on the spot first.
Spotlight on Ms. McKinney.
Okay. Well, I think the success and the challenge for me is indeed the engagement. That is a challenge, to let the community know that this is a free museum. I think a lot of us run into the issue that people still think it costs to come to the museum. But that people realize that there is something for them at the museum, and as Rosie talked about, you do not have to be an artist, you do not have to be an art historian, you do not have to be an expert to have an opinion and to connect to an artwork. So the challenge is letting you know that your thoughts are valid, and that there's something that you can speak to the artwork within the museum, and that it's okay for you to come and learn about other cultures that are represented within the museum. We want you to be able to connect with what you feel reflects you, but then also get to know what's happening with others. Art is all about having a conversation. Mm-hmm. And that is a challenge, in that we want people to feel comfortable. I think that the comfort is taking the fear factor out of going to the museum is the challenge. The success is that we're doing that now.
Awesome.
Our voice is out there with the programming that Rosie's doing, the programming that we're doing with public programs, which doesn't just include adult programs. We have a whole nother side with the family programs under Sarah Hyde Schmiedler. But we've had great success in connecting. Rosie mentioned the History and Hope exhibition. That was a wonderful opportunity where we were able to collaborate with the community to create an exhibition. And that certainly had its challenges, but the success is that we got it done.
Mm-hmm. Will there be any future collaborations such as that?
I certainly hope so. And the History and Hope was a collaboration between the museum and the Black Archives, okay, and the American Jazz Museum.
Okay.
And I'm just so proud that we were able to accomplish that this museum was able to accomplish that.
Awesome. Ms. Riordan, any challenges, any successes would you like to add?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is the communication, getting the word out about what we represent, what we have to offer, especially for schools,
mm-hmm,
especially especially with budgets, budgets being tightened constantly. It's a constant factor that you deal with, and how can we provide for students and make sure they get those opportunities, and then giving kids a voice. One of the things we actually have a future collaboration going on. We're working with a curator, and we're working with some high school students. They're going to she's setting up 3 different themes and setting up the idea of they're selecting the artwork and they're going to create. So they're going to learn what a curator does. They're going to learn a job at the museum and what's involved with. It's not just put a nail in the wall and stick a picture up. There's a whole bunch of opportunities that come with it that you want kids to be, knowledgeable about. And a lot of kids don't think of themselves in that position, and they're really trying to diversify the curatorial ranks. And so letting kids of all creeds, colors know this is something that I could do. If I have a passion for this, this is something that's available for me.
Now I'm going to put you both on the spot here. Who are your favorite artists?
Oh boy. Okay, I'm looking in the museum now, going from room to room. Oh, Caravaggio, goodness, love the Caravaggio. Carrie James Marshall, Kara Walker. I love the Franz Klein.
Any Thomas Hartman?
Diebenkorn, and Jacob Lawrence, wonderful. Gosh, there's so many.
Very eclectic mix. How about you, Miss Riordan?
Henry Oswald Tanner, I love
Sure.
I love his work. I love Jacob Lawrence, and then probably one of my favorites, just because it connects with me, is Joseph Cornell and his boxes. I love his boxes.
Awesome. Some of those names
And
don't
Alice
sound
Neal.
familiar.
We don't have an Alice Neal.
Neal.
Gosh.
I have to do a little more
Have
research.
an influence on there.
This being Valentine's Day week, what's your favorite love song? Valentine's Day song?
Goodness, I need my
We can have some
iPod
Luther
for this. I have a
Vandross
whole
or
list
some
of that. No,
Phil Collins?
no.
or
Okay, let me think now.
People
The
Bryson?
Dells, Stand in My Corner. Goodness gracious, one of the best love songs ever. And oh boy, I'm sure there's a Marvin Gaye song in there somewhere. Though Distant Lover is my favorite of that.
Distant Lover, Stay in My Corner, Miss Riordan?
Yeah, nothing comes to mind right off
Nothing's
the bat.
on the
Yeah,
track list
Yeah,
there?
nothing's on my
Any
track
last
list.
words here before we wrap up? Miss McKinney, Miss Riordan?
Come visit the museum.
Come visit the
Yeah,
museum
come and-
often.
Yeah, just and you,
It's
I think
free.
that the biggest thing is don't try to see it all at once.
Yeah.
Come and see a part and leave, and come back and see another part.
Mhm.
You know, don't try. It's a huge museum, and you can't take it all in at one time.
And it's free,
It's
so there's
free.
no excuse
Free.
not to
Exactly,
come visit.
Exactly.
Especially
free.
right now. You think
Yeah.
of something to do, come
Yeah.
visit one of these
Yeah.
It is
museums,
free.
come
Yeah.
participate in one of these programs. Let your voice be heard. Any last words here, Miss McKinney?
Just that we want to see you at the museum. Hope to see you Sunday
Yeah.
for Rodney's My Mother's Club. And the website is full of events that we have, so you can get a lot of information about school tours, family days, our adult programs. We do an incredible amount of programming throughout the year, and we have programs that take place Thursday evenings, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays.
For every day. So let's
Yeah.
give that website address one more time.
All right, www.nelson-atkins.org.
My special guests today have been Miss Kreshaun McKinney and Miss Rosie Riordan. I'd like to thank you very much. I do hope that you would keep us up to date of what's going on this spring. We're going to have to invite you to come back when you have something to share with us.
Absolutely.
All right, I would love to.
I'm Glenn Bryan Frizzell. Check out more video online, www.whatsupkansascity.net. And remember, the sky's the limit. Dream big. Aim for the moon. If you miss, at the very least, you would have landed among the artists and the stars. Take care.
CMG wants you to always remember, the victory we call success goes to the best prepared. When you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Thanks.